Velma, the show that makes a dog throwing up look like a creative genius when Einstein said everything is relative. He never imagined something like this. Now, there has been quite a bit of backlash, not always in the direction you'd expect, without saying that Velma is much better than the haters and trolls would want you to believe. With a 6% audience score and 7,000 different ratings, that's a lot of haters and trolls out there. Now, I don't know if she's including the people at Forbes, or different people at Forbes. Maybe she means those trolls over at The Telegraph that say, in an age when nobody can agree on anything, both sides have united in their loathing of Mindy Kaling's Scooby Doo update. All I'm saying is if the trolls turn out to be everybody, have you ever considered it might be your fault? The answer to which is, of course, no, where she says it's not just bad faith in these criticisms, it's the lack of rationality, logic, and basic media literacy. Velma is a good show. It's not even just acceptable, it's not mid, it's great. Now, she does go on to say, actually, I don't know, this is a she, is it a she? I just kind of assumed May Rude. With a last name of Rude, I can understand why you might have a lot of common with Velma. But she goes on to say that one of the problems that people complain about is that Velma is a massive bigot, and then goes on to quote from the show, proving that the criticism is correct. These complaints hold so little water, it's barely worth addressing, despite the fact that I've already directly quoted something which proves them to be true. But apparently we can disregard all of those critics' genuine problems simply because some of them can't actually tell the difference between Africa and South Asia. I have absolutely no idea why we're calling Velma South Asian. I don't know if you've checked recently, but South Asia is actually a massive place, and we're not talking about Indonesia. I don't know why she has such an aversion to saying the nationality of people, but it does seem to be a bit of an American trope that I notice quite regularly. Not that it makes much of a difference. If you want to throw out all of that criticism because they don't apparently know the difference between Africa and Asia, then why don't we go and see what Asian Twitter is saying about it? 6 tweets perfectly explain why they're not really feeling Velma. Maybe it's the South-loathing trope which they're just not into. I'm happy Mindy Kaling wasn't writing people when I was a kid. I can't imagine being young, already self-conscious, and seeing that portrayal. When you remember that this is a self-insert, that gets even worse. It's wild to me that Velma was what sparked all of this criticism. Mindy Kaling has always been like this. I'm sick of Mindy Kaling portraying people like this. Velma is unfortunately just the latest in a series of people Mindy Kaling has written that strips them of their heritage as well as their moral compass. Why do they keep writing people who are insufferable? It turns out it doesn't matter what rules you actually set who's a critic by. When a show's this bad, everyone agrees. And bad, episode 2 most certainly is.
Previously on Velma.
I had enough about it the first time round, you don't need to show me it again.
His delicate teen heartthrob good looks stem from the fact that he hasn't gone through puberty.
Whoa! Calm down, Mindy, everyone knows the rumors about Hollywood, but you didn't need to confirm it in your own show. Now, is that a criticism that's accurate or not, depending on which geographic region I think you come from? I can't really remember the rules, largely because I don't care about them.
It's not small, it's scared.
He hasn't gone through puberty, he lives in Hollywood, and Mindy Kaling has just called him attractive. I'd be scared.
Velma Dinkley always knows the ugly truth.
I mean, I wasn't going to call you a 2, but if you already know the ugly truth, then I'm glad that awkwardness has been avoided all the same. Now, much like the first episode, the second one doesn't have a plot either. We're basically following her father, who's a lawyer, defending Fred from her, who got him arrested even though he's innocent because she's absolutely awful at everything she ever does, but for some reason thinks she's above the level of an amoeba.
Possible Fred didn't do it.
Fred's a rich white guy with a tiny dong. He did it.
Yep. That's Velma's logic, you know, the great detective. Would you care to tell me how the show's complaints that Velma is a massive bigot hold so little water it's worth addressing again? Because that would definitely be funny. Or is it more that as a writer, you're so unlikable that you find it delightful when you meet people like you and are also a massive bigot yourself? My favorite thing about those kind of articles is just how easy they make it. Some people say engaging with low-hanging fruit is laziness. I'd call it efficiency. And agree. Every episode just has a screenshot of Velma that summarizes the show.
Now, excuse me, I have to go find my missing mother.
She's not missing, you scared her off because you're an absolutely insufferable cow. That's not even my opinion, the show told us that as part of the plot of episode 1. But coincidentally, Velma's forgotten that. Look, it was a 25-minute episode, you can understand her struggle to actually concentrate for that long.
You didn't mention Fred had a tiny dong.
Real baby carrot. And I'm gonna ride it all the way to victory.
To be fair, it's never about the size of the boat, about the size of the ocean. So Velma goes to Daphne to get her dead mother's cold case file, and it goes about as well as you'd expect from someone as incompetent as Velma.
My sincerest condolences for the loss of your more popular friends that you picked over me.
Slow down there, just because they've had their brains scooped out doesn't mean I wouldn't still choose them over you.
I was hoping you'd get it for me, for old time's sake.
Yeah, Velma's incredibly manipulative, passive-aggressive, and guilt trips everybody to get what she wants. Hey, stop it, you can't make generalizations, you'll get me in trouble.
$500 or nothing.
Someone being paid to spend an afternoon with Velma, I think $500 is a bargain.
The only reason people think I removed those girls' brains is because I basically confessed.
You didn't basically confess. These are 25-minute episodes, how can you not remember your own story? Which, as it was at the end of the last episode, is only 5 minutes ago. At this point, I'm wondering whether you deliberately made stupid characters or whether this is just the peak intellect that you were physically capable of comprehending. Even Velma getting something correct has the frequency of January the 29th. But of course, every character in this show is like a stereotype from Tumblr. And so this guy can't even cut his own food. I have no idea what this got to do with puberty. Like, people don't cut their own food before that? I don't know, I can just only assume that this is the life of the creator themselves.
Only way to prove Fred's innocence is to play up the fact that he's a late bloomer.
That's the plot of the entire episode in one sentence. Although for some reason Velma takes credit for it later on, I'm not sure why.
I mean, the world sees Fred Jones, teen sociopath.
Oh, and for some reason this lawyer, rather than using words to describe something, has decided to draw pictures of what he wants instead. This is how the world sees Fred. This is how we want them to see Fred. You getting those Hollywood vibes yet? Back with Velma, her plan to get $500 is to steal from random innocent people.
Hey, that's a nice face. Is that worth $500?
It's time we put Velma in prison.
Candyman, I think you mean sugar daddy, and Sarah's 18. Her parents are cool with it.
Her parents are fine with her being a whore.
And that's the 411 home skillet.
Words.
Oh yeah, and the cops are going into school as well.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
How did you manage to make hello, fellow kids, not funny?
In teen movies, a guy sells something and then blackmails the girl into dating him for it.
What movies have you been watching, you deluded little fool?
Problematic, but effective. And hilarious.
What movies? Are we sure those were movies and not just the creator's summer holiday? Because the show's like, oh yeah, this is a pop culture reference that you'll definitely understand. No. It's just you. Really gives you an insight into Mindy Kaling's life. But Velma can't get the money, and so Daphne is going to employ her.
Doing what? And is the office culture cool? Like, are there snacks?
You've watched too many A Day in the Life of a Twitter employee videos.
The day in my life as a product designer at Meta. At 9:30, I got breakfast with my team before getting lunch at our barbecue pit. Couldn't forget about dessert, get some ice cream. Next, we went to another building to explore our 9-acre rooftop park.
Is there wine on tap? And what about those lavender hand towels from the peak of Kilimanjaro that are only brought to me on the back of a chipmunk? I've got to have those if I want to spend my half-an-hour work time in a meeting. The only culture your work should have is you sit at a desk. That's basically my culture here. My boss is a miserable arsehole.
You're the Candy Man?
Candy woman.
The man stands for human, you deluded imbecile. The language was created to include everybody. You're welcome, dear.
According to TV, it's morally okay to deal drugs if your life is just kinda crappy.
This show does realize that programs like Breaking Bad, it was never that it was morally okay. Heisenberg was never meant to be the hero of the series. It's okay for the main character to not be a hero if the show isn't trying to make him look like a hero. Which is very different to Velma, where the show clearly thinks that she's correct in everything. In this, Velma is most definitely meant to be a hero. So it's weird then when she says things like this.
Those are all white people, Daphne. Minorities on TV can only deal drugs to escape poverty.
Yeah, she's just a complete bigot that judges people solely off their biological characteristics. I can't wait for episode 3. I really hope there's a rant about vitamin D levels.
Exactly. I spit truth without a filter.
In other words, she just lies about everything or is just incorrect out of sheer blatant ignorance.
This is my story, told my way.
So Velma goes around attempting to be Heisenberg, just without any of the entertainment value.
Hark! White girl with too much money. White girl with too much money.
Apparently that's meant to be a retort. Thick deluded bind whose mother left her because she was insufferable. I don't know, Velma. I think there's just better insults than what you're coming out with. Like saying 6% over and over again without any intervening space. But what do I know? If I made something this bad, I wouldn't have even put my name in the credits. You know how it is. Different people, different standards.
Look, I know you're a genius.
I don't know where you get that from. I can only assume it's the everything is relative comment again. Although even if we want to use that analogy for genius as well, I'm still going to choose a dog vomiting on the floor over Velma. So Velma goes out and tries to sell it to more people and fails at it, just like she's failed at everything else she's ever done in her entire life.
Huzzah!
I'm sorry, I could feel you forcing that.
You know what else feels forced? Your belief that you're the only one sleeping with the lead.
That says more about the lead than it does him.
Sorry.
Okay, you're fired.
Please tell me it's from the show. Don't give me false hope. This is only episode 2. I can't take it anymore. So Norville decides that he's going to try and sell his kidney in order to get the $500 for Velma, so that she actually likes him. At least that's a story from Velma's point of view of my truth.
This is my story, told my way.
I think it's far more likely that Shaggy was trying to raise the money to bribe her to stay away. We get to the court case, and there's a guy with a sign that says, lock her up, but instead of her, this time we mean him. What? Are you implying that a her gets locked up more frequently or for longer terms than a him? Like I say, my truth, not living in reality, definitely has never looked at statistics in her entire life. There's also multiple people with the same line. I guess it's because they've seen all those different protests, which just have pre-printed signs made for them. You know, those totally organic meetings where everyone there definitely believes what they're saying, which is why they went to the effort of just picking up a pre-printed sign somebody gave them. We also get Fred dressed up as one of Hollywood's favorite people.
Hello, friends. My name is Fred.
At this point, this entire show is just a self-report. This is the person Velma keeps saying is attractive specifically because he can do this.
I think I speak for the entire journalistic community. Don't I feel like an asshole?
Well, at least that's a statement I can believe. Oh, of course, there is the problem when it rains and we get this. No, really, we get this. Quick, we self-reported we were far too honest. Say something to distract them.
Where do I come from? And how is my hair the color of buffalo wings?
I'll be trying to work out why when you've got ginger hair, you've not been replaced by someone who looks like Velma yet. That's the true mystery of this entire show. But at that moment, their hands meet across a crowded room. Oh, we're suddenly in love with each other. Oh, I can't believe this. The first person to not find Velma physically repulsive, and suddenly she's head over heels. Okay, when I said 2, maybe I was being generous. Is that electricity running through my body the touch of a soulmate, or am I just getting tased? Okay, she's just getting tased. We get an escape chase scene on a roller suitcase, and yes, the only reason I've got it on the screen is because if I wasn't looking at it, I wouldn't believe it myself. Then we see Babysitting Club, where they've got a pram in front of them, which promptly gets run over by the police. Like I said in the first episode, this show definitely wants you to know that all of them, although I will say, I'm not surprised it survived. It looks like a mini The Rock.
Where is that candy man? I mean, candy person.
Man means human. When you looked at a thermometer, nobody expected it to be your IQ.
It could be anybody, even though we both definitely know it's a man.
Why am I not surprised at the rampant bigotry on display? Is there anything in this show that isn't projection? At this point, that's going to be the greatest mystery for the series. Although I have a feeling I already know that reveal as well. Of course, Velma was hiding in trash. Now, people have said that this show is very meta and self-aware, and I think this picture sums that up better than anything else. We get this storyline because apparently Daphne needs contact lenses.
It's easier to feel right from afar than risk getting close and being wrong.
No, if there's one thing we've learned about Velma in this show, it's that she's wrong about literally everything. So far, she's gone through one mystery, accused one person, and she's wrong about it. Everyone keeps calling her a genius, but all we've proven is that she doesn't know anything about anybody.
Okay, easy, Dr. Phil.
Gotta be honest, I have no idea who that is. I just keep hearing his name all over the place.
I'm the brains of this operation.
Thickest person in this entire show, and this show includes people who've had their brains scooped out of their face.
You're just the look, style, and effortless charm.
With that in mind, I still don't know why she's supposed to be going for a 2.
Okay, look, I'll give you the $500 for her file, if you help me prove Fred's innocent.
Why are we consulting the child about a court case? We already had this in the first episode. If I needed her advice on how many Smarties I could shove up my nose, I'm sure she'd be very helpful, but not when it comes to any kind of legal reasoning. Especially when, as we're about to find out, her entire plan on helping him with his innocence is actually the father's anyway? Velma doesn't even come up with her own idea.
What? Are you crazy?
I must be for watching this thing. That might be your first accurate observation. So she takes a look at his case file.
Yeah, no, I was right.
You haven't been right in this entire show. You're not right, and the creators aren't right in the head. I think we found the common link. Velma sees the fact that he can't cut his food and goes, that means he's too childish and stupid to have actually done the crime, which was the father's reasoning all along.
Holy crap, you are innocent.
Yeah, thank you for finally coming around to the realization that everyone else in the show already had said and tried at court. I'm sure this time now you do it, it'll be entirely different.
How long have you known the defendant?
We met at lunch in the 8th grade when he confused me for a beanbag chair.
That was probably all of the donuts.
Classic.
Fred has never had to lift a finger to do anything. He's been so pampered, his body hasn't even felt the need to fully mature.
That's not how biology works. Although at this point, someone in Los Angeles not understanding human biology is not exactly much of a reach, is it?
Fred literally can't feed himself.
Just how complicated do you think cutting food is? Because if you think that cutting food is a problem that somebody might actually struggle with, I can only assume this is a problem you've had yourself. Oh, I remember those days. Those challenging days where it's like, which end of the knife do I use? No, I'm not making that up. That's what the show says is a problem. Why don't you just pick it up and bite into it is my question, but you know, I haven't had the same life struggles that Mindy Kaling has had. Maybe that's why I just don't understand how someone can struggle with eating, because at this point he's like that bird that wonders why the worm won't just jump into his face.
He is just like a little boy.
Which intellectually feeble children are you around? That's not normal behavior for most kids. You do realize this. Why does everything in this show come across like it wasn't written by human beings that have had any other contact with other human beings? Who are you around, and what did you do with actual people?
How could someone who can't even cut a steak remove two girls' brains?
We can understand why he'd struggle to remove Velma's brains, simply on the fact that it would be incredibly difficult to find. We'd need an electron microscope for that thing. Just one brain cell on a desperate search for a mate. But with that, Fred's found innocent until one particular moment.
Could have removed those dumb girls' brains, no problem if—
Yeah, that tends to harm your case.
Hear, hear! Guilty.
And so now he's been found guilty of a crime he didn't commit. Or because Velma accused him of a crime he didn't commit. This is Velma's fault. I'm sure she's going to feel really sorry and guilty about that, though, like the true, upstanding member of civilization that she is.
Wow, blonde-haired people have bad days too.
Okay, when we self-insert characters in the future, can we make sure that they represent a fully formed, normal human being? Thank you. Yeah. I think it'll go down better with the audience. It might get better than a 6%. Yeah? Okay, good. How much money did we lose on this show again? What do you mean it's getting a season 2? Surely they only released 2 episodes of this at a time in order to try and get it out the door and over with as fast as possible. But the show isn't over because Daphne actually gets with a 2 in order to save her life. I'm not joking, that's the show!
Velma, what do I do? Try to make me laugh, okay?
I'm sad my husband died.
No, try something else. Anything, quick!
I mean, personally, I'd go back to this. Seems reasonable to me. Self-insert, second chance at life it was then. I'm going to make a show that's all about my point of view, where I'm the hero, and I get to do a load of things that I never got to do before, and complain about all the things that have just annoyed me in my actual life. Yeah, this show just groups people up into people it likes and people it hates, and for some reason thinks that's funny. I don't really know where the comedy in this is meant to be, or in fact the story, as we've still ended up in the same place that we did before. That Velma's just accused an innocent man and he's still innocent. In fact, the only entertainment value I think that someone could get out of this is if you were one of the creators like Mindy Kaling, and you were looking at this going, haha, I'm saying all of this to people, and there's nothing they can say back, because if there is, I'm just going to call them a bigot again in the next episode. I don't think the entertainment value comes from actually being funny and it being a comedy. I think it's literally just them going, I am going to rub this in your face, and I'm going to get a season 2. I am getting paid to just spew all of this poison out into the world. I don't think the show is a comedy. I think the show is a cry for help from someone with deep-rooted mental problems. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.